already answered this one. So it says the height of a stone is thrown with an initial speed off the cliff at a height of 490 meters. The related quadratic equation is given below. Find the discriminant. Remember that the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So in the case of this problem, b squared is 15. So it's 15 squared minus 4 times negative 4.9 times c, which is 490. So then on your calculator, you would just type all of that in.
I did the quadratic formula. Did you get a new calculator?
No.
It looks new.
So 15 squared, yeah, is 225. And then 4 times negative 4.9 times 490 gave you a negative 9,604, but it was minus a minus, so that's a positive 9604, which gave you 9829. I'm pretty darn close today. Like, actually, like, if it wasn't Friday, period 9, I probably would have yelled a lot more. I just think it's disrespectful and rude to your classmates that are trying to study for their test. All right, so let's go through the answers to the packet. And then again, as we're going through the answers, if you have questions or concerns, don't hesitate to ask. I will gladly go over any answer you're struggling with to get. So number 2 was B. Number 3 was B. Four is A. Five is D. Six, C. 7, C. 8, D. 9, D. 10, D. 11, A. 12, A. 13, B. 14, D. 21, B. 22, B. 23, C. 24, A. 25, A. 26, C. 27, B. In 28, you could have had any variation of this. 8.2, 8.2 seconds, t equals 8.2, 41 over 5, etc. Yes. 18? Sure. Okay. Hold on, I breathe. Okay, number 28. It says a baseball is hit by a batter given the function below. Describe how the ball's height above the ground is related to its time. So a function goes to our graph. It represents the model. A +4 represents your y-intercept. So that's the starting height. If you hit a ball, it's going to go up and then come back down. The x-intercept, aka the 0, is going to give you the point at which it hits the ground. That occurs when the function equals 0. This function is not factorable because there are no factors of -64 that add to 130. So what we have to do is apply the quadratic formula. So that's t equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So you take 130 squared, subtract 4 times -16 times 4, and you get 17,156 all over -32. So then on your calculator, you just do -130 minus the square root of that answer. Divided by 2a, which is -32, and we get 8.156. For that 8.2. And then you do it again, but this time, instead of subtracting the square root, you add it, and then divide by -32, and we pretty much get 0. And you get a negative, and we know that time can't be negative, so we toss that answer out. So that's how we know the ball hits the ground at 8.2 seconds. Good? Yes?
Can you do one of the ones for the graph?
Sure. Alright, so one of the first ones with a graph is number 3. So what I'm going to do is just kind of show you what I did. So process of elimination, since the a value is negative, that tells me the graph opens down. So I could auto-eliminate letters C and D. And then the next thing you want to do is just find your vertex. So the vertex is h comma k in vertex form. We're not in vertex form, we're in standard form. So h is equal to negative b divides 2a. So the opposite of b is negative 5 divided by 2 times negative 2 gives a negative 5 over 4 over negative 4, which is positive 5 over 4. So that is also my AOS, which is x equals 5/4. Since my AOS was positive, if I look at these two, one AOS is negative, one AOS is positive, thus making it B.
Can you do number 22?
Yeah. Okay, number 22 says to solve this equation by factoring. When factoring, rule number 1 is to set equal to 0. So the first thing you have to do in number 22 is get that set equal to 0. So you have d squared minus 8d plus 16 minus 11 equals 0. Then you get d squared minus 8d plus 5 equals 0, because 16 minus 11 is 5. And then since this has a 1 in front, you can do your magic x, and it's factors of 5 that add to negative 8. So in this case, since there are no factors of 5 that add to negative 8, that tells me that it is not factorable. So you're going to do quadratic formula. Yeah. So you have 8 plus or minus, that's discriminant. So the discriminant is a squared minus 4 times 1 times 5. So your discriminant's 44. All over 2. So 44 breaks down into 4 and 11. So that's 2 square roots of 11. So you get 8 over 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 11 over 2. So you get 4 plus or minus square root of 11. Yes. 11 in which one?
12.
Yeah. Oops. 11 you guys can cross off, sorry. So that's something that my advanced kids had to do, and I didn't realize. Like, you know, there was a big gap from 14 to 21. I thought I got rid of all the questions you guys didn't have to know, but I goofed up. You also don't need 11. We definitely can do 12, but yeah, sorry about 11. I thought I got them all. Okay, so it says write an equation with the given roots. So essentially what this is saying is x equals 5 over 2 and x equals 9. So you're going to work backwards. So that becomes x minus 9. You multiply both sides by 2, so you get 2x equals 5. Or 2x minus 5. And then you have x minus 9. So you just take the x equals, you get it into factored form by solving backwards. And then you just FOIL. So it's 2x times x, which is 2x squared. 2x times 9, which is negative 18x, minus 5x. Negative times a negative is a positive 45. And we get 2x squared minus 23x plus 45, which is answer choice A.
So why is it a -9?
Since it's x equals 9, that's the root. This is the factored form. So if you think about it in factored form, you'd have x minus 9 equals 0. To solve for x, you'd add 9 to the other side. So you're basically just you're taking the solutions and working backwards. Yep.
How many on the test are going to be multiple choice?
On Monday, none. On Tuesday, all. So Monday is open-ended, like the study guide. Tuesday is multiple choice, like this review guide.
And what if we're not here on Monday? Or like one of the days?
Then you take it Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
So, because after that, like all I'm going to do is collect books, like calculators with kids at them, that type of stuff. So Thursday, Friday are set to help, catch kids up.
Are we gonna have to graph on our calculator?
No. Like you can use your calculator, but you don't need your calculator. It's only as hard as, it is for you. So, if you look at the second packet I gave you that summary of skills. And I heard some of you say you wanted to talk about graphing. So on that second page, I gave you the key ideas of the quadratic. On that front page, I'm just going to give you the formulas real quick. So standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. Vertex form is y equals a, x minus h squared plus k. In vertex form, your vertex is given in that formula. In standard form, you have to go about finding h and k, where h is always negative b divides by 2a, and k is plugging that back in for x and simplifying. When solving a quadratic, it must always be set equal to 0. And you should always be in standard form, meaning that your factors or formula go from highest powered exponent to lowest. When factoring, you're thinking GCF, grouping, magic X, difference of squares, and perfect square trinomials. You need to know your quadratic formula. The discriminant's b squared minus 4ac. And then with that, you would need to know that if the discriminant is positive, it's 2 reals, 0 is 1 real, and negative is 2 imaginary. And then with respect to your imaginary, you would need to know your powers and cycles of I. So I is I squared is -1, I cubed is -I, and I to the 4th is 1. 0, 0.25, or sorry, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, and 0. And then just to give you a review, so like I already posted number 1. So if anybody wants to go and you can watch period 4, I do number 1. So with your class, I'm going to do number 2. That way I've done one of each for you. So the y-intercept is always the c value. So it's 0, -4. The vertex comes from the h, which is -b, divided by 2a. So it's at -1/2. You plug in -1/2 to find k. So you get -4.5. So you would plot your -1/2, -4.5. And then kind of do your symmetry based off that. If it's positive, it's a min. The min is always at k. The domain of a quadratic is always all reals. If it's a min, it's greater than or equal to, again, that minimum value. And the roots come from where it crosses here. You can also get them now by doing your quadratic formula.
So how do we, if the max or min, how do we know if it's max or min? Look at
The a value. So it's a max if a is negative. It's a min if a is positive.
And after this, what are we doing for the rest of the year?
Nothing.
Huh?
Nothing.
Nothing.
A
That's it.
movie.
We're done.
how many questions will be on Monday's test?
12.
Oh, that's not
But
that
they're,
bad.
yeah. I mean, but like one question might be like that where it has like the parts.
I like the graphing. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I'm not out to like get you. I
It's
just,
all the different equations that I'll have to know. Oh, I can go read. Okay, that's funny.
I do too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss McBride, is there